everybody. I hope you are well and coping well with this corona situation and using this in your favor. Reading a lot of books, watching movies, and taking care and staying with family. In last video, I talked about how Iranian revolution started and how Khomeini and his followers took power or took over the revolution in Iran. Today, I want to talk about two important events who helped Islamic Republic to be established, actually. First one was U.S. Embassy hostage taking by followers of Khomeini. And the second was the Iran-Iraq war. On 4th November 1979, a group of followers of Khomeini took over the U.S. Embassy and took 52 hostages, diplomats, and held them for 440 days. This story was incredibly damaging for Iran in general. Iranians after that were marked as terrorists, as hostage takers, and actually the sanctions who are continuing now started then in 79 when they took over the US Embassy. When Khomeini was in exile in Paris, he was talking to international media of democracy, that when he returns, Iran will be a democratic country and he will not interfere in politics. Also, he was in contact with Jimmy Carter, the US president, who now the documents have been released, saying that he was saying the US interest will not be touched in Iran. But once he returned to Iran, it was the opposite. He started to be anti-American. As you see here, some revolutionary guards are walking on US flag as a symbol of being anti-American. And then the hostage story happened. They took over the embassy and held these hostages for 444 days. And me as a photojournalist, I was covering this story on assignment for Newsweek for the whole time. And many things happened there. This, as you can see, there were also some women involved in this story among the hostage takers, which one of them is the minister now in Rouhani's government. Anyway, that story was incredible. In front of the US Embassy has become like a circus place. There were hundreds of events going on. People were holding the pictures of the hostages. They were burning US effigies or hanging effigy of Carter in the building in front of the embassy. They were selling sunflower seeds, popcorns. People were coming to picnic in front of the embassy, and it has become an entertainment place. So we as photojournalists or journalists, we never were allowed to go inside the embassy. Those people were handing us over sometimes photos of the hostages from inside, but we were photographing the outside and what was happening related to that story. Another incredible story happened related to hostage story was the military operation of U.S. Army to free the hostages. I heard about news saying that some unidentified objects have fallen in Iranian desert. So hearing that, I was so excited. I took on the road, and after hours and hours, I reached to that spot. But what I saw was incredible scene. I saw burned helicopter, plane, and burned bodies on the ground. And find out that this was an operation of U.S. U.S. Marines to free the hostages ordered by Jimmy Carter. But unfortunately, things went wrong. A plane crashed to a helicopter and caught fire, leaving 9 dead Marines in the desert, and the rest went back to their base where they had come from. I started to photograph all these details inside helicopters, which were full of equipment, and also arrived Ayatollah Khalkhali, which was called the Butcher of Revolution. And he was the one who wrapped the bodies and put in a truck and they took the bodies to Tehran. And of course, the hostage crisis ended in an incredible date or time. It ended exactly when President Reagan was swearing in as president. So this showed there was a deal between Iranian government and US government, which now we know what was it. It was an arms deal because the Americans sold arms to Iranians during the Iran-Iraq war. The second important event who helped Islamic Republic to establish was the Iran-Iraq war. Iraq was headed by Saddam Hussein and Iran by Khomeini, both cruel dictators. Actually, what happened, Khomeini started to help arm and train Iraqi Shiites against Saddam. And of course, Saddam was not happy with all this. He was also helped by Western countries, by Europe and America, and also Arab countries like Saudi, Kuwait, etc. They helped him to attack Iran. Saddam invaded Iran, and the war started, which went on for 8 years. This was one of the horrible wars of the century after the Second War. We don't know exactly how many million people died in this war. Maybe 1 million, maybe 2 million, nobody knows. I was trying to cover this war despite of difficulties and being forbidden to go to the front line. But finally I managed to go to the front lines 12 times. And of course, I saw horrible scenes. I saw thousands of dead, thousands of wounded, thousands of war prisoners. But the most touching and horrible thing of this war, despite the Saddam's crimes or the opposite both sides, was that Iranians were using children, boys, very, very young boys in this war. First of them, you can see these pictures, they were preparing them, they were training them at schools in arms. And then also during the demonstration, they were bringing them, giving them arms to carry, which were also longer than themselves. And after that, these parades, they were prepared and they would send them to the front line. And also the way they used them, because these kids couldn't fight really. They would use them even sometimes to send them on the minefields, to clean the minefields so soldiers can go in front. We don't know exactly how many of these children were killed, but some estimate that 30,000 very young boys were killed in this war, which was one of the most horrible aspects of this war. So the war went on for 8 years, 2 countries destroyed, 2 rich countries destroyed, million dead, and suddenly one day after 8 years, both dictators came and announced that the war is over. No reason. So this was really shows the craziness of human and especially craziness of dictators.